One thing has been on my mind a lot lately. In this new digital era of AI photography, what makes a photo a photo? What makes a photo valuable? Short answer, I have no fucking idea. Moon or not? In a recent video, MKBHD talked about and speculated that cell phones were taking a picture of the moon and superimposing it onto actual photos that people think they actually got themselves with their own smartphone. I don't really know what to make of this because on one end, you probably have a lot of folks that are just trying to point their camera, your cell phone camera, to the moon. It looks nice. They snapped a photo. Boom, they got it. But what they really got isn't their own photo. They essentially just got an AI-driven, superimposed stock photo. And a stock photo can be found on any website, sometimes for free, sometimes for a small subscription. But it's a stock photo. It's not a photo that you took. Now, for most people, to be honest, they're probably not going to care about this. If the moon looks cool and they point their camera up and they get the photo, the moon looks cool and they got the photo of it. They post it on their Snapchat, on their Instagram, call it a day. It's as simple as that. But what about facial features? What about how you look? What about how people actually appear in real life versus how they do in the digital realm? This is sounding so trippy right now. It's kind of whack. Maybe I just need to get more used to it. I don't know. I mean, to think about Snapchat filters, those started as a game, something that was just fun. Now it's to the point where it's being used to actually represent what somebody looks like. These filters are used for profile photos, headshots on LinkedIn. And I think we're getting into this interesting spot where the way somebody looks online is drastically different to how they look in real life. Now, some of you might be hearing this like, yeah, duh, bro, that's the internet. Welcome to like 2022. But I think the lines are getting blurred. At least what was known in the past as a clear distinction of this is me as a person, this is an online avatar, is becoming more blended. This is a bit more out of left field, but I promise you it ties into this video. The Matrix 4 just came out, and the cast was talking about how there was an interesting distinction happening with the audience this time of this generation. While in the past, there was a huge concern about what was reality and what wasn't reality, or virtual reality, which was considered to be fake reality, there isn't that concern anymore. This generation was less worried about that and more interested in just the combination and simultaneous playing of real life and virtual life, essentially thinking of them as the same exact thing. In this MKBHD clip, he continues to talk about photos and how they could be altered in a selfie mode. I mean, folks can change their chin, their eyes, their foreheads, essentially making an avatar that's not how people look in real life, but it still essentially looks like a person. That's the biggest distinction that I'm still trying to wrap my mind around. It's one thing if I put a cartoon as my profile picture. I don't look like a cartoon. I don't know if you didn't notice. This is real life right here. If you saw a photo of me and I more or less look like this, but then my forehead was shrunken more, or I made my jawline sharper, or any sort of number of things, I made my eyes a different color, and then you saw me in real life, wouldn't you be a little bit distraught? Maybe this is a generational gap. I am on the cusp of Gen Z and millennials, so I don't really know what my identity is, but I just find it interesting. Where does this take us? Aside from that, these edits, what are they based off? What is considered better looking, or pretty, or beautiful, or handsome? Who sets up those parameters? And what is it that people are striving to do, or to look like, or to be like when they adjust themselves to look as such? We can only have so many people on Instagram that look like the Kardashians. We got fake Drake out here walking around clubs pretending he's actually the real Champagne Papi. I don't know what the answer is. I'm just asking questions here. Where does it end? Will somebody think of the children? I'm just being dramatic. But honestly, it's kind of interesting. But I think the trickiest one of them all is not simply just changing things because you actually want them to be changed. Going back to that moon example, it's cell phones and software and technology changing stuff because they believe you want it to be changed.
So it learns information about me?
That's like some conspiracy shit right there. For example, Google's new magic camera or whatever they call it actually will make a photo that looks blurry, make it not blurry, or will remove distracting subjects from the background. All you have to do is outline them and it takes them out. Poof. This isn't an old tactic. This is something that's been done since the invention of film, really. People manipulated and chopped it up. It's just photo manipulation at the end of the day. So on that end, I completely understand it and it makes sense, and I'm not really scared of it. But on the other end, think about past selfie camera software that was without users understanding and knowing that it was happening, changing the look of their face and softening their skin to make it look more glamorous. While doing this on Snapchat or on Instagram or something more advanced with Photoshop and actually, retouching your skin and stuff like that, all that falls under intentional decisions. You as the user, photo taker, selfie taker, model, whatever, are understanding and acknowledging and consenting to having that manipulation to some extent. Take away my pores, my wrinkles, make me look a gazillion years younger. But when it's happening without your understanding, when it's being done and it's something that you are understanding is a true portrayal of reality, of what you're looking at, of what you're seeing in front of you, isn't that a weird gray area? Or am I putting too much responsibility on photos and videos to mimic reality when honestly that's never really truly been the case ever? That's a whole other video right there. And don't get me wrong, I think the technology behind a lot of this stuff is actually really, really, really cool. On a creative level, it's only going to allow creators to do more, to make more stuff, to be more creative, to stretch the boundaries of art even further. That's awesome. And it excites me 100%. But I come back to the question of what makes a photo valuable. And if you ask people today, especially in the digital realm, you might think of NFTs right away. And I'm not here to talk to you about NFTs at all. In fact, I'm going to do the opposite. I'm going to talk to you about basic pictures, polaroids, lost film negatives, things you get at the flea market or at a thrift store. The complete opposite of the digital era. B&H recently dropped a podcast where the host, Alan Wentz, sat down with guests Peter Cohen and Bill Shapiro, and they were talking about vernacular photography. And when I first heard this episode, I had no idea what vernacular photography was. I had never heard of the term before. But one of the things they touch on is finding photos and collecting these photos in flea markets, thrift shops, eBay, anywhere they can find photos. And the intention with these photos is to actually collect them and make a curated presentation of them. And a lot of times these are random photos that they equated to being lost memories, just lost in time. They then buy these photos, and they're not doing this to make money. They're doing this to preserve memories, collect, show history, show documentation. And a lot of this stuff isn't necessarily something you would consider making a photograph. They're snapshots of everyday life that when taken in the moment meant not much, aside from just recording that actual moment. But give it 20, 30, 40, 50 years, and all of a sudden, that photo's very valuable. It's telling you a story of the past. It's showing you another time. And the stories that come from that are endless as well. It's not just a photo, it's a scenario. You have to do a double take on it. You look at it once, and then need to look at it again, and maybe again, and maybe again. Why someone might buy these photos, I have no idea, but I could assume that maybe they're just a collector. Maybe they want to put in a scrapbook of some sort. This photo right here is one that I got from James Rowan, a Chicagoland area photographer, and it's from an archive that he's had for decades. He still goes out to photograph, but he travels a lot less. This photo is several years old. When I looked at it, it just spoke to me. Now, that might be corny, but it's true. I saw it. And first of all, blue's my favorite color, and it's a very blue filled photo. And the mountains and the rocks and the water, I loved all of it. It reminded me of my trip to Colorado and San Diego. That made this photo valuable to me, so I bought it for $10. But when I think about the digital photos that are secretly getting superimposed or tweaked with AI, or just referencing millions and millions and millions of photos on the internet to create what one might think is an actual photo but really isn't. I struggle to see the value of that. I struggle to see the value 10 years from now, 20 years from now, 30 years from now. Now, I'm being pretty gutsy here, putting this video on YouTube, which might be around for forever, and I might have some future people or aliens laughing at me right now. Go ahead, get out of your system. But the reality is, actually holding a photo and engaging with that brief moment where you're just left wondering, why was this taken? Who is this? What's going on here? That moment is lost when you can simply swap out the sky in your photo to look like every other sky you see on Instagram. That's what I think about. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm not. I don't really know. I mean, where does the value in AI photography come from? Is there any? What does it look like? Historically speaking, art is valuable a lot of times because of the story of the artist. If the artist is just the internet putting together photos that already exist, where's that value? So with all those factors not being relevant or possibly being absent from AI-driven photography, even in the snapshot sense, if you're gonna take a photo of the moon and you have the same exact photo as a million other people, where's the actual value in that? Ultimately, I think it comes down to story. And this point can both prove and disprove the entire argument I'm trying to make in this video. Whatever the story is what's key. There could be a story behind AI-driven software photography. There could be a story behind getting the same exact picture that everybody else has, and I could just be missing it. Like I already said, I think the technology doing this stuff is groundbreaking and extremely remarkable. And overall, technology only continues to make our lives as creators much, much easier, and it helps democratize this entire thing overall. But I still struggle with, at the end of the day, if your story is AI made this photo for me, while that might make our lives easier, it just doesn't sound as interesting of a story to me. Drama. That's about it. That's all I have for y'all today. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Am I on the right track with this? Do you agree? Do you disagree? Why or why not? Leave it all in the comments down below. Once again, I live in Chicago, the greatest city in the world. I'll see you all in the next one. Bye.